Hello, 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 and good afternoon, good morning, maybe good evening, depending on where in the world you are. My name is Anthea from Armar Group, and we are here to go through a live Q&A for the shift. In case you haven't come across me before, as I said, my name's Anthea, London-based coach, speaker, and consultant, and essentially working with entrepreneurs, small businesses, helping them to get to that next level of success in their life, in their business, by removing some of the barriers that are preventing them from succeeding. And that is what the shift is all about. Making sure that you understand what things are holding you back and how can you go about removing them so that you can move forward. So thank you everyone for joining, and do remember that if you are watching from YouTube, you need an account or to be signed in order to leave any comments. So any questions that you might have, please make sure that you're signed in. Same with Facebook, make sure that you are live, ready to go, and ready to engage. Now, today I do have a special guest who has just had a few difficulties in getting here at the moment. So will be joining us very soon, and we will be talking about money. How do we go about building wealth? How do we go about getting away from this kind of mindset of not having enough, wanting to have more, wanting to be rich, wanting to buy the house, the car, and all of those things, and aligning that to the level of success that we have. So we will have a special guest coming very shortly. And when he does join in, I'll ask him to introduce himself formally. And then again, just feel free to drop anything in the chat with regards to any questions that you've got. So in the meantime, again, feel free to drop any comments or questions that you've got, and I will do my best to answer those. Not a financial advisor, I'm not a specialist in that area, but as you know, I can definitely give you my perspective. So just kind of taking on from, what we spoke about over the weekend. So as part of the shift, we had webinars that took place on a Saturday, and then following each Saturday, we dive deeper into that particular subject by having an industry expert come and join in a conversation and have a chat with me. So over the weekend, we spoke about money, right? And the title of the webinar was Up Your Money Game. So this is all about understanding how, regardless of where we are, how can we take our money, our wealth to the next level, right? Because a lot of questions that I generally tend to get asked, and, in my coaching space, it's really around, I need you to coach me on my money mindset. I need you to help me understand, what's going on, why I can't earn more money, why I feel like I'm always, living from one salary to the next, one paycheck to paycheck, and all of that. And so, some of what I shared was it's about the relationship that we have with money. The relationship that we have with money has been curated, right? It's been developed, it's been nurtured since birth. Think about some of the messages that you heard while you were growing up. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all the evil. Let me know in the chat, do you have any other ones that you can remember growing up and hearing quite regularly? One of my favorite is, let me just go outside to the back garden and pluck off the money for the thing that you're asking me for. Right? And it's just like, yeah, we start to have this idea that there is something wrong with having money. And in the comments, we've got multiple sources of income. Yeah, that is definitely the way forward. But in order to get to that stage of how do we now start building multiple sources of income? How do we have money that comes into us that's not the salary, right? Because the salary is essentially the thing that we've exchanged our time for. So I come and give you 40 hours, and in return, you give me 20K, 30K, 50K, 100K, whatever that is, that amount is. But is that sustainable? Does that give us the freedom that we want in order to live the life that we want? Because a lot of people are still waiting to retire to live. And I'm sorry, but that doesn't work for me. It may work for some of you, and this is not to say that this is not a good thing. But what I want to do is kind of open your mind to how you can actually figure out how now you can start taking some actions regardless of where you are, right? Because again, one of the challenges people generally tend to have is, oh, but I'm not earning much now. When I earn more, then I can. Once I do this, then I can. If I get that, then I can, right? And this is all delaying your ability to actually build wealth for yourself. So welcome, Na in the chat. Greetings to you too. So again, just, let me know, what are some of the things that you heard growing up about money? What are some of the things that you heard that kind of potentially put a negative spin on money? And again, I've shared some of those, around money is the root of all evil. There's things like, I've got enough. Why do you want more? Or having more is greedy, right? Is having more money greedy? Or is it the person who has more money greedy? Yet money doesn't grow on trees, right? So this is what it is where we are now, and this constant desire, especially in society, especially with social media, we have this constant desire to always want to have more money. But it's not about having more money, it's about building wealth. And there is a very big difference between being rich and being wealthy, right? So being rich is about having assets that allow you to buy pretty much everything that you want. But essentially, you still have to work for the assets, right? So you have a lot of money, but you have to work for it. And you have a fair amount of debt that comes with that. So you have to ensure that you have that cycle continuing so that you can continue to remain rich. And at the weekend, I shared some of the people who are in the limelight now who we would look at and actually say, yes, you're rich, but actually, no, they're broke, because some of them they have a net worth of 32 million, but their debt is 32.5 million. So actually, they owe 500,000. So you might have the car, you might have the house, you may have all of these things, but my friend, you're broke, right? So is that what rich looks like to us? Being in a position where we have so much money going out and so much money coming in that they balance each other off, and we're actually in the same place as we were before. That's not a good thing, right? So now we think about what is wealth. And wealth is having the same types of assets, but your assets work for you so that it frees you up to do the things that you want, right? You have things happening. So Tasha said earlier, multiple sources of income. You've got multiple things happening, ways of growing and building wealth in so many different pots. It doesn't rely on you exchanging your time for money. And in fact, you've got so many pots that are generating the money or the finances and the assets that you need. It then allows you to take time off. And this isn't like take time off and like Netflix and chill, right? But it's have that time to, what is it that you really want to do? Is there somewhere you want to travel? Is there a project that you want to set up to help, homeless people, to, create an academy to boost the confidence in young children? There are other things that we all desire to do other than the work that we are doing right now. So building wealth is the quickest way to allow you to fulfill the desires that you have to contribute in this world, right? It's not about riches, it's about wealth, and breaking that cycle, that message or that relationship that we had with money that told us that money was a bad thing, right? It was probably introduced in order to keep conditioning us, to ensure that we stay in this path of, okay, let me go and work so that I can give you my time and you pay me for it. And if you don't give me enough for the time, then I can resent you for it. And then I end up ill because I'm now stressed, I'm anxious, I'm depressed in my job, I'm not learning, I'm not growing, I'm not evolving, I'm not helping anybody, I'm not doing anything, I'm just here. Right. And so the cycle continues, because then you need to rely on getting help from the same people that you're working for. So Tasha's saying, yeah, we need to get loans and credit cards, etc. So again, this all comes down to your mindset and what you think about money. So for some of you who are just joining, just to let you know that the special guest that we do have on today's Q&A for the SHiFT is delayed at the moment, but will be joining very, very soon, hopefully in the next 5 minutes. So you've got me. I'm filling the gap, friends. So if you do have any questions, any comments, drop them in the chat, but we will get stuck in with an industry expert very, very soon. So again, just let me know, what's your experience with money? I remember a lot of that stuff, it's too expensive. It's too much. Why would you spend that much on that? And if you hear those kind of messages as you continue to grow up, you're going to think that having things that are expensive are bad. You're going to think that in order to be not seen as a snob, or uppity or above others, you have to settle in your desires. If you want something that costs this much because you like the quality, you like what the brand stands for, you like the way it feels on your skin, you know that it has longevity, then why not buy it? But you probably won't because you're worried about what other people will think. Or are you buying it because you want other people to think a certain way about you? Right. And so there is this whole kind of vicious cycle that we've been placed in, which makes us think that we need to stay in a level of brokenness, right? We need to stay in a level of brokenness to validate ourselves in society. If I'm constantly hustling and I'm struggling, I'm grinding and I'm doing all of these things, then I'm in a good place because I'm working for mine, right? I'm trying to get my money, but that's not what it's about. How do we now build wealth? How do we now break those limiting beliefs that tell us that we can't have money and do positive things with it? How do we break that cycle and say, right, I can earn money over here, over here, over here, and over here. And it's not the traditional route of exchanging time for money by going to get a job. This isn't to, belittle anybody who has a job. If you are happy in your job, keep working. You are supposed to be there doing that thing. Where there are other people who are not happy in their job, go and find the thing that you can be happy in and do that. Life is tough enough without being miserable in the thing that you're doing. So with all of this information, with all of these resources, we just need to be in a position where we can now, figure out, how do we go about building wealth? Okay, so good time for me to pause. We have our special guest here who I'm going to bring to the forefront. Bear with me one moment. And here we go.
Hello.
Oh,
How are you? You all
I
right?
love that sound quality. Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good. I do apologize. I've been running around. I'm out in Birmingham, so this is where I got this hotel room. Look in the back. I'm in Birmingham filming. But I do apologize for being late. But yeah, I'm so happy to be joining you guys today.
Yeah, no, honestly, no worries. I got a chance to ramble and we were talking about, like the money mindset, the relationship that we have
Yeah.
with money. But before we dive into all of that bit, I haven't introduced you because I want to make sure you do yourself justice. So we have a very, very special guest here today who I would like to him to introduce himself to you. I'm sure you're all here because of him. So, but please do introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Emmanuel Asuquo, financial advisor, TV personality, and I guess what I do is help people who work hard for their money, teach them how to make their money work hard for them. And I'm all about building wealth, building a legacy, taking control of your money, taking control of your dreams and your destiny. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to today and answering questions and hopefully adding value to you all.
Thank you. Love that. Love that. So we've been talking about, so part of the reason that we've got this Q&A is because I was running this program called the SHiFT, right?
Yeah.
And it's talking about how we can shift our perspective to shift our life, right? So there are
Sure.
things that we want to have in our life, like you mentioned about deepest desires and all of that kind of stuff. That's it. Like a lot of us are stuck in places doing things we don't want to do because we think that's the only way to
Yes.
earn the money, to build the wealth. And
Yeah.
most people are still not, really thinking about legacy, so to speak. So I'll dive straight in with one of the questions that we had from the webinar on Saturday. So we're kind of looking at, again, I talked about this whole thing with the relationship that we have with money is the very thing that's preventing us from taking the next step, because we were told money doesn't grow on trees. It's the root of all evil. Why do you need more money? This thing is too expensive. And so that's kind of damaged some of our habits in terms of spending.
Sure.
But one of the questions that I generally tend to get is, if I'm not earning much or I'm not earning anything, how can I be expected to save or invest if the money's not there?
It's a good question, and especially at a time like now, we've seen the cost of living going through the roof. We're seeing inflation at 7%, and it's likely to continue to rise as things get more and more expensive. So I totally understand if somebody says, "Oh, if I haven't got money, so I can't save," and that's fine. For a lot of people, it is about paddling water. But again, that might be just for a period of time. I think for me, it's more about the mindset in regards to, okay, I'm in a situation where I can't save. What can I do? So sometimes it's like, okay, I can't save right now because too much costs are coming out, and we just accept it. And what I would rather do is challenge the fact to say, okay, I'm in this position. How long is it going to take me to get out of the situation? Do I need to find a different job? Do I need to get a pay rise? Do I need to get a side hustle? Do I need to go back and get some education and get another qualification that will mean I'll get paid? And no one's saying that this has to come in 1 month or 2 months, but action must be taken, because I feel like we are too comfortable accepting, oh, I don't have enough money, so I can't save. And it's like, actually, I don't have enough money, I can't save. That's a problem. That should be something that should tell us I need to do something else, because I need to be able to save. And then when I start saving and I've got to a point of saving, I need to be able to invest. Saving is just the first part. And for us, I feel like saving should be a standard. And if we can't get to that standard of saving, we have to ask ourselves, what can we do? How do we get there? How long is it going to take before we get there? What do we need to put in place to get there? It might take 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. But for me, my thing is not about can you save, it's what are you doing to make sure you can save? Because what are you doing to make sure you can invest? Because we know that building wealth is the only way, ownership is the only way we can ever get the respect that we really want and we really deserve. We can protest, we can march, but governments and people in power respect ownership, respect money, respect collateral. And if we continue to be in a cycle where we don't own anything, we continue to be left or be forced to be reliant on somebody else. And I want us to take control of our lives and our destinies. And if you can't do it for yourself, what are you doing to make sure that your children are not in the same position, so that they are set up so they can get ownership? Because if sometimes I think, and then, oh, I'm too old for this. I'm okay, great. I understand that you can't do it. So what are you doing to make sure that your children don't end up in the same position as you? And these are the questions that I don't think we're having. These are the challenges that I don't think we're having. We're ready to challenge someone on how bad their wig looks, or what's that makeup about? Oh, how are you making your money? Is it fraud? We're ready to question everybody on these things, but we're not questioning each other on how are we building wealth and how are we building generational wealth. And these are the questions that we need to. Everybody's got an opinion on Will and Jada and Chris Rock and the slap. We got opinions on these things for days, but we got no assets. So for me, I can't be out here moaning and complaining about rich people problem. These are millionaires slapping each other. Let them do their thing. We ain't even got £10 in a savings account, and we're out here talking about what millionaires should and shouldn't be doing. Please, let's prioritize. So this is where I'm at.
Yeah, fully. Like, this is, I feel like we need to upgrade this text system. I felt like there was a mic drop moment. There's like, I needed an explosion coming out of your head. There was actually too much. It was just too much. There was a lot going on there. And I definitely agree with you, is that it's, what conversations are we having? Because I think part of that, again, it comes back to the mindset, is people are scared to have those conversations. I don't know about you, growing up in a household, it's like the money thing. It's like, you don't talk about money. You don't talk about how much you've earned. You don't talk about, how much I'm going to go for a job interview. Okay, so how much you getting? I don't need to know that. It's fine. But why? Because I need to know, so I know what's possible for me, right? Because if you just constantly not knowing what things cost, what things are worth, you don't understand value. And if we don't understand value, then what are we doing?
Yeah, and it's like we know the value of things that make mean nothing to us, that do no good for us. So man will walk on the street, oh, those are Yeezys, they cost 200. Like man will be able to spot, oh, from afar, oh, I know that jacket costs. You can value all these different things. You can see somebody's outfit and say, oh, that person's wearing like £2,000, their outfit's like. But listen, you're in a job and you're getting paid 10k less than your colleague to do the exact same thing. Why? Because you have no point of reference, because you didn't negotiate, because you don't know your real value of yourself. And this is why I always talk to people about knowing, like, at the end of the day, work is somebody else's dream. But when you go to work, you are living somebody else's dream. Somebody else had a dream to create this business. They created it, and now they can afford to hire you. Okay, that's what work is. And so for me, I see work as a stream of income as opposed to my be all and end all. So for a lot of us, we're at work and we're actually we're not working on ourselves. We're at work and saying, well, I have enough to pay my bills. I have enough to go on holiday twice a year. I'm done. And what I'm saying is that if you continue to have to work for the money that you earn, you will always have to work. And I don't think that clock, it doesn't hit people till they reach like 55 and they're like, I want to retire, and then state pension isn't enough and they don't have anything else. For me, it's like you've got to say, I'm at work. Okay, I'm at work. I should know the ins and outs. I should know how much the average person and Google is your friend. It's not like you need to go and you don't even need to ask your neighbor. There are loads of forums online that will let you know what you should be expected to get paid in your role. And then also look at what is the next role. How much? What do they get paid? And then guess what? Then you can, once you find out what the next role is, then you can go find a job description. The job description is like a cheat code, because now you've got the job description. You know everything they want to get your next paycheck. And as long as you can tick all the boxes on the job description, you can apply in confidence. These are simple things that we can do, but we are spending our time watching EastEnders and worrying about things that have none of our business. These are not our business. Do you know what I mean? We are waiting for people to represent us, and let's start representing ourselves. Mm-hmm. Let's start building a community where, like, I'm on set today, filming, and one of the other people that I'm filming with is another black girl, and this is her first time doing TV. Before she agreed her contract, I told her how much I negotiated for mine. I told her, this is what I negotiated. This is how much I'm getting paid. Why would I not want that for her? Why would I not want her to make sure that because I know what they're going to see. They're going to see someone young, first time. They're going to pay as little as possible. And what she thinks is big is actually going to be small. But now she knows now she has a gauge. Now she said, well, okay, E-Man's been doing this for years. This is what he's getting. Okay, now I know what's realistic for myself. And this is how we help each other.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, I feel like an amen coming through. I started to feel this one come. Yeah. So there was a couple of things definitely that you said that just raised. I was just like, yeah, this is the problem. Is the have enough mindset. I have enough to go on holiday. I have enough to pay this bill. I have enough to do this thing. And it comes back to, to a degree, like vision. Our vision is not big enough for ourselves. No. So when we think that having 2 holidays in a year and having an opportunity to go out to eat once in a week, and maybe the cinema once a month is enough, we've already failed, because we no longer have anything that's big enough to motivate us to get more, to achieve more, to have more, right? But we're just focusing on enough. So what do you say to people? Because one thing I talk a lot about is mindset, and you've mentioned that already a couple of times today. So why is that so important in terms of being able to build wealth? Because most people think that to build wealth, you just need the money bit. But there's a mindset part to it too.
Yeah. So again, I'll give another example. So today, like, I'm on set, and I'm the other lady that's on set. This is again her first time in TV, and I was just sharing. Okay, this is what you can do on social media. This is what I've done that's worked for me. This is what I've done to get on TV. This is how I managed to get an agent. And she was like, "Oh, Emmanuel, you're giving me so much knowledge. Like, when I speak to other people, they don't tell me. They just keep it to themselves." And I said, you know why? Because I have a mindset of abundance. And you see, for a lot of us, we have a mindset of scarcity. we have a mindset that there's not enough. So I'm going to be happy with what I've got, or I've got to keep what I've got. But when you have a mindset of abundance, I know that there's unlimited amounts of money and potential and opportunity out there. So whatever is for me will always be for me. I'm not in competition with anyone. I can tell somebody exactly how I did it, and what will be for me will always be for me. And I'm going to be happy for you. If I can help you, then great, because now you can tap in and you can get some. And the problem is that when I always talk about, when you look at millionaires and you look at rich people, what do? They don't invest on their own. They invest with other millionaires, because they even when they don't like each other, there even when they don't even get on, they say this is business. You've got money, I've got money. Let's draw the contract up, sign it, and let's do it, because it's in both of our interests to make more money. And the problem is a lot of us have a mindset of wanting 100% of nothing. We want to have 100% ownership of nothing. And for me, I would rather have 50%, 20%, 1% of something than 100% of nothing. And until we start to say, actually, I can't go alone. Too many times in our community, someone just busts and that's it. You're the one person. And then we all just, oh, well done. Yay. Someone made it across. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Because they will always let one go through, so that can be an example why you keep the other 99, and you say, well, at least one person made it. The other 99 are here, that's their fault. Because look, there's this person that made it across the river. No, actually, the problem is that until we are making it regular, we ain't making it at all. Do you understand? Because what happens is that one person makes it across, they get across, they have their children know no one, they don't have no connections, their children inherit all that money, they spend 90% of it, the next generation get the last 10%, they waste it, and then they start all over again. And that happens too often. By the third or fourth generation, the wealth is depleted, the wealth is gone. And that's why I talk about an abundance mindset. Because when we have an abundance mindset, I don't mind sharing with my brother or my sister. I know that there is enough for us all. We're not in a bucket. We're not crabs. There's no bucket. There is an abundance. There's a freedom. There is an openness, and we have to work a way to tap into the matrix, tap into that abundance. And once you get there, you're in a place of comfort. You want other people to be there.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Especially, the crabs in the bucket thing, definitely something that we fall foul of quite a lot. And there's also just a comment, just bringing that one up is, there's when we're talking about money and how we spend it and how we get it, it's not knowing what to do with it or seeing the opportunities in it. So if you're saying that, there's a bit of the opposite as well. When people have a bit of money, then they start to flex to show that they have it by spending it, instead of looking at how they can turn it into wealth. And that's one of the challenges. Is I think we need to individually and collectively, we need to stop being concerned with what the world thinks of us, validate ourselves, and know that if I have this money, I'm going to use that to invest in it. I'm going to invest it so I can grow it, even if I get social pressure to use it in some other way. So the thing is with social media is that it can be useful, because again, you've got social media accounts, you've got a YouTube channel, you've got Instagram, you put amazing content out, and you put content out regularly. So not having enough to even invest in a person, a mentor, a coach, a course, or whatever is no longer really an excuse, because you have access to this kind of content. So again, just kind of following on that, is for people who are kind of worried about, getting into debt, or, maybe it's because they are trying to move forward, but just have this constant case of, red letters and all of that kind of stuff following. What would you kind of advise around how they start to move forward while they're feeling like they're being held back?
Yeah. Before we get there, I like the comment what you just read out, and I think is very true. I think one of the things is that I remember, for me, I call it poverty scars. I had a lot of poverty scars, as in when I come from a council estate, and there was a lot of things that I didn't have. And so what happens is that when you do have, now I remember I was buying trainers that I couldn't get when I was a kid. Like I was buying basketball trainers. I don't even play basketball anymore. But do you understand what I'm trying to say? But I couldn't buy those basketball trainers when I was a kid. And so a lot of us have scars, have trauma, have things. And what we do is the buy-in or the spending is just a trigger to our trauma. It has nothing to do with the item. What happens is that when we spend, we get that feeling that we feel better. We feel like we've achieved something. And sometimes what we have to do is really look into ourselves and say, we've achieved already. You've done enough. Like you've come so far. And sometimes we're not acknowledging where we've come from. We're still using the triggers of where we were. So we were in a place of poverty and struggling, and now we're not struggling anymore, but we still act like we're struggling. We still have the mindset of the struggle because that's what we've come from. And we haven't taken the time to really reflect and understand that the money, with or without the money, we were already special. With or without the money, we were already valuable. You are not defined by the money you make. And this is a big issue in our community for Black men. Right now, Black women are out earning Black men. And Black men are now saying, well, she makes more money than me. She drives a better car than me. Like, do I still need it? Like, am I still needed? And the problem is that for too long, Black men have only defined themselves by the amount of money they can make. And now that a Black woman can do the same, or women are out here doing the same, it's like, where do I belong? Well, actually, you bring a lot more than just the money that you make. What I bring to my family is, like, in fact, the financial element right now, I got 4 children. The financial element is important, but it's the least part that they see. My kids are not walking around saying the light bulb is on, or I've got a roof over. They're not saying that. They're saying, did daddy do to help me with my homework? Did daddy take me to school? Did daddy come and watch me at karate? Like, these are the things that are important to them. When I want to speak to daddy, does he have time for me? These are the things. And my wife is saying the same thing. My wife, I can go and work all day long, but if I'm not there to ask her how her day was, what's going on with her, how can I support her, what does she need from me, then I'm letting not only my wife down, but my children down. I think too many men have got their identity through money, and that's something that has to change and has to stop. And then when it comes to if I'm in debt, the biggest thing is to say, okay, I am here, but I am not defined by the situation. So yes, I've got red letters coming through my door. Yes, I'm in debt. Yes, I've got more. I might even have more outgoings than I do have incomings. Okay, but this is not a definition of me as a human being. This is not a definition of whether I have succeeded or failed in life. This is just a moment in time. And guess what? Once you realize that this is a moment in time, and you can't change the past, but you can change your today and your tomorrow. So for me, it's the focus on what am I going to do different today than what I did yesterday. Keep it small. Sometimes you think, okay, it's going to take me 5 years to listen. That the thought of paying this thing for the next 5 years is too much for you. It now brings anxiety. It now brings depression. All you need to focus on is what am I going to do today better than yesterday? And tomorrow, ask yourself the same question. And slowly but surely over time, but you must face your problem. One of the biggest issues is that we don't want to face it. We get the letter and we put the letter in a drawer and pretend that if it's in the drawer, it doesn't exist anymore. Please open that drawer, take those letters, open them, start phoning some people. Start to phone people, especially now. We have to use the climate. We've had a pandemic. We've got inflation crisis, all of these things going on. This is a perfect reason why you haven't been able to pay. And so now you can start creating payment plans that are affordable to you and start to take control. And also, the last thing I want to say is sometimes we have to applaud ourselves for doing things that we think are normal. For example, if you paid your light bill, give yourself a clap. You paid the electricity this month. If you paid your mortgage or your rent, give yourself a clap. Like sometimes it's that we do all these things and we don't take the accomplishment of actually I am doing my duty. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm paying my way through life, and that's good. That's an accomplishment in itself, and we see it as a standard. And so focus on the things that are good in your life. Focus on the things that you can change, and the things that you can't change, let them go.
Yeah, I feel like sorry, I need some holy water or something. There's a lot going on today. Yes, man. Yes. So, and it's funny because like one of the things that you said, again, this is like, again, a lot of what you talked about is the mindset, the debt,
Yeah,
what the, congratulating ourselves on what we are actually doing.
yeah,
And it's, again, I think it's just normalizing that this is what we should be doing, the
yeah,
expectations.
yeah.
And I also feel like maybe there is us repeating the cycle. So for parents out there who
Hmm.
are saying, because you talked about the poverty scars, because I
Yeah,
struggled, I'm going to give my child everything. But
exactly.
then they get to a point where they have a different type of issue because they've been handed so much, they haven't really learned to earn it, acquire it,
Yeah.
convert it, build it or anything like that.
Hmm.
So we're just kind of, do you feel like that's just repeating the cycle?
Yeah, I feel like it's a big problem. It's a big problem in regards to I see young people that are doing things that where basically parents are living what they did, the life they wish they had, they're giving it to their children. And they're
Mm,
forgetting to ask their children if that's the life that they want. Okay, I'm not saying that you need, like, if you want to give your kids a piano lesson, excellent. If you want them to learn another language, excellent. And if you can afford to do it, excellent. But when I'm seeing children doing about 10 different activities, like, you know what I mean, and still expected to let them be kids, just let them be children. Let's not feel that the more we spend and the more, because sometimes the worst thing is, I've seen it a lot where I speak to parents that are making money. A lot of them, for example, are contractors where mum and dad are contractors. They got good day rates. They make good money. They put their kids in these private schools and camps and all of these types of stuff. And then the child grows up and says, "You was never there. You didn't raise me.
mhm,
I was raised by all these activities that you used to send me. And then because you worked so much, you never turned up to any of my stuff." And so sometimes, and that's a big slap in the face because you're thinking, I'd have spent 100K over the last however many years to give you this excellent start in life. And actually, what a lot of these children want is to spend time with you. What a lot of these children want is to learn from you. What are we doing about our children's characters?
mm,
I think sometimes we don't see that as a currency. That is an important thing. The, one of the biggest things that's helped me in life to be successful is the fact that people like me. One of the biggest things that has helped me in life is the fact that I walk in a room and I know how to communicate. I know how to be a nice person. I know how to listen. I know, and guess where I learned that? I learned that from my mum and dad.
mm,
I didn't learn that at school. I learned that from my mum and dad. There was a set way in how we behave, how we spoke, and that has helped me be successful. Yes, it's great if you can have qualifications, but people buy into people. And we are not, we are so busy giving our children all this education and all these extra lessons and all this extra stuff and putting them in grammar schools, and that's all good. I'm not knocking that. That's all good. But what are we doing about our children's character?
mm,
What are we teaching them about how to behave, how we act? Like my children, I told them this is not how we act as an Asuquo. They know what it means to be an Asuquo. They know what it means to have that name, and they know what is expected. And so these are the things that I want them. I'm obviously building a legacy now to hope that when they walk in a room and they say their name, people are like, "Oh yeah, I know your dad," or else, "I know your dad. I know the character of your dad, and I know that he will pass that on to you." So whether you're the right fit for the job, I'm gonna give it to you anyway. Whether there was someone else that was more qualified, I'm gonna give it. That's the type of things that we want to start building.
mm. Yeah, and it goes back to even that saying of, and I think it used to have a negative connotation to it, but
Yeah,
it's not what you know, it's who you know.
yeah,
But who you know as you as your character, as a
yeah,
person can
yeah,
far outweigh whatever you've put down on a piece of paper saying what your skills are. So yeah, I love that. What does it mean to be in a Suquo? Because I
yeah,
think we kind of lost the essence of carrying certain names or, you know, there's the whole thing. Certain parents will be like, "Don't go out and shame me," but it's
yeah.
kind of like, but
We've lost
it's
that.
part of it. It's because
Yeah,
your name is attached to me. So if you're coming out and doing all of this foolishness, then my name is impacted by that too, right? Right?
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
so we've got a question here. I'm just going to pop that one on screen. There appears to be a lot of negativity around personal debt for the common person, yet for celebrities, it's the norm. Can you make your personal or business debt work for you?
Yeah, and again, it's not about the debt itself. It's about what are you doing. For a lot of people who are when you say the normal people or people who are common or whatever the phrase was, when you talk about it from that, a lot of the time that debt has come on liabilities. That debt has been built up buying trainers, buying clothes, going on holiday, which is a great memory, but it's not an asset. It's not like, you know what I mean? You've gone, you come back, and now you're back at work on the desk. Like it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? You might have a little bit of suntan, but you're back there. You're back at work. Like there's people almost act like you go on holiday and you make money. Like, oh, I've been on holiday. I'm going 4 times this year. Like every time you go, you get paid to go. No, you've got less money, and sometimes we have to ask ourselves, what are we, when we're getting this money, when we look at how much money we spent. So the other day I went to a client. I was doing a show. I went to a client, and we went into, they said they want to buy a house. They're like, oh, I want to buy a house, but I haven't got no money. I haven't got no deposit, no nothing. I said, okay, let's go to your wardrobe. We went to their wardrobe. If you see the bag, shoes, jackets, when we added it all up, it was like 30K.
What?
You got 30K worth of clothing and material, and today you have no deposit for a house.
Whew.
So when we're talking about building debt, it's different. When we talk of celebrities, they might build debt in regards to investments. They might build debt in regards to business. If they're putting it in the hope that they get a return. Now, sometimes it doesn't work out. Not every time you go into business, not every time you invest, not everything you do, you're going to make money. But it's the aim. If my aim is to use my money to make me money, even if it doesn't happen the first, the second, the third, eventually one of the times it's going to make me money. But if your aim is to spend your money to impress people, and I always tell people, okay, you spend your money and you make sure you want to look good. But listen, we had a pandemic here. Everybody was on lockdown. Nobody was going to work. Who phoned you? I ask people, who phoned you? You will tell me the same 5-10 people that phone you anyway. So all these people that you're trying to impress, if you got COVID and you died, or you were sick or whatever, they're not phoning you. They're not saying nothing. So why are we living our lives trying to impress people that couldn't go to work, couldn't go outside, was bored watching the same things on TV, but still didn't think to phone you? Still didn't send you a text to check up what's happening, what's going on. We got to start prioritizing. You see me, my circle is so small. Like, because at the end of the day, I need to surround myself. I need to surround myself with people on a certain wavelength, people that create a certain energy. Like, even I speak to my wife, and she, you know, obviously she likes to watch you, and she'll be like, oh, babe, you know, like Kim Kardashian said, I don't care. I don't care. I'm the wrong one. Like, don't tell me about, if it's not making me money, it's not making sense. Like, why am I here arguing with you about what other people are doing and we're making no money doing it? I want to argue with you about the shopping. Can we save some money on that? I want to argue with you about you know, how the electricity. I want to argue about the petrol's going up. Do we need 2 cars in this household? These are the things I want to argue about, because that money comes back to us. All that energy we put into that argument comes back to the benefit of us and our household. And so we need to put more energy into our things, into the things that, and now people are going to be like, oh, E-man, you don't want us to have fun. You're a party people. Like, there got to be some enjoyment. Please. If we don't make changes, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And for a lot of us, we have watched our parents. I look at, no disrespect, look at my mum. Today, she's retired. Like, she had knee replacement, kidney, all of these things, working hard for these people. How much pension does she have? She's looking for us. Today, me and my sisters are supporting her in her retirement. And we see this, and we still carry on with the same mindset. We have to stop it. We have to say, no, we got to do better. They came, and their generation came to work. Like, our generation has to come to build, invest, and grow.
Yeah. 100, 1000%, if that's even possible. Like, literally. And I think there's a lot, as usual. So I'm just like bang, bang, bang. There's a lot. I mean, there's lots of comments in there. I can't put them all up on screen, but thank you guys for all of your comments in there. I don't know if you can see them, man, but there's just a lot going on in terms of, you know, the whole thing is like, I think what it boils down to is, I think it's something you mentioned earlier. What is our priority? Is our priority to please other people? Is it to let other people see, what we have, or to actually have it and show other
Mm,
people how to get it for themselves? There was a comment earlier about trust. Let me see if I can find it. Teamwork is the best way. AAGP saying teamwork is the best way forward, but people need to trust each other, not thinking the business partners will steal their money. Because that's also another thing,
mm,
is that when we think about, okay, if I can't do this on my own, and we talk about what can we do, we say, right, let's collaborate, let's get together. There is always that thought in the back of your mind. It's like, yeah, okay, if I put a little bit of money in here, how safe is it with these people?
of
So
course.
one question I would ask is, well, why would you invest in people that you don't trust in anyway? And two is, how can we get past that feeling of a lack of trust, of working together to build something for the betterment of, someone else?
I think a lot of this is a narrative that we have allowed to exist. So, for
Mm,
example, I remember like, um, even though I'm from the ends, but obviously I've moved out into the nice suburbs, and I live in Bromley now. Like, life is different. Do you know what I mean? And I remember like walking and seeing a group of black boys, and in my head I almost felt like, oh, should I cross the road? Then I said, why
mm,
would I be afraid of my own? And I just all I said, good morning, guys. They said, good morning. Like, and do you understand? Like, there is a narrative, and for me, there's a narrative of, oh, how do we trust? Number one, like you said, Anthea, we got to look at who are we doing business with, what are their reputations. We got to do background checks on the people that we're working with. Number one. Number two, we got to have contracts. We go into word of mouth. This is not how it's done. I don't care if you're going into business with your mom, your sister, your grandma. There must be a contract. Everybody must sign. If
mm,
anything happens, there must be background checks. You must look at, do these people actually have the collateral, or are they just gassing? Not because somebody turns up to a meeting in a Rolls Royce means they have money. That could be hired. The problem is again, and this is one thing I would say, is a lot of us have not been taught critical thinking.
mm,
A lot of us have not been taught critical thinking. Critical thinking is when we don't just believe what we see. We see something and we challenge what we see. Okay. The problem is that you will see somebody and they will show you that they live in this house, they drive this car, they will show you, oh, I'm being successful. They will be with celebrities that you may know, and now you've given them credibility, and now you said, I believe them and I'm ready to give them my money. And
mm,
for me, it's about us saying, listen, I can't, I have to challenge everything. I need to see facts and figures. I need to have a note from someone. I need to speak to your accountant. If you I need a letter from your accountant, and your accountant even need to be credible. Do you know what I mean? I need to know that you have the funds that you're talking about.
mm,
I need to then search. Has anyone else worked with you? Has there been any? Oh, am I the first? If I'm the first, I need collateral. I think sometimes we're going into business, but we haven't even learned business.
mm.
Do you know what I mean? There are fundamentals of business, and people say, "Oh, I don't know this. I don't." But you know all the names of Kim Kardashian's children. Hmm? No, nobody had to teach you how to find whatever big bums on the internet. Nobody needed to teach you that one. You did that one all by yourself. But when it comes to doing something to educate yourself, oh, I don't know where to go, or there's so much stuff out here. I don't. You're not intentional. Are we being intentional? Like,
Mm,
for me, I see us, number one, our family unit. This is from I learned from other communities. Our family unit should be our first business. I look at the Asian community, when they're going to get mortgage, they're going three at a time for
mm,
one. Why? Because the bank will say, even if the bank is, they say, oh, racism, us will be like, oh, it's racism, that's why we're not getting mortgage. So they say, okay, here's three of us. We got three incomes. Now tell us that you don't want to give it to us. Whether the bank like it or not, they've got to give it to them. The numbers add up. We're not
mm,
giving the bank what they want to see. There's three of us want to buy a house, and three of us are going individually. Even with all three of us are going to three different mortgage brokers. We're not even telling our family members. If we
mm,
cannot even trust within our family, how do we expect to trust strangers?
mm,
The mindset has to change, and I have to know. Sometimes you will trust, and it will not work out. That doesn't mean you don't go again.
mm.
That
You
doesn't mean
learn.
you stop. You learn. Okay, actually, I didn't check this. Oh, how did this one go wrong? Okay, I'll make sure next time that I cover that base. It doesn't mean you stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there was a comment that kind of alluded to this earlier, is about I think it was Angela was saying about conversations that we have at home. We're not having conversations. There was something that I received. It was a meme that talked about seven. I think it was like seven conversations we should be having at home, and that includes things like, what are we doing as a family? You know,
Yeah.
what legacy are we building? Where should we be investing our money? You know, how should we be setting things up for the children in the family and stuff like that? They're the kind of conversations, you know, that we should be having. We've got a question here, is what are your, from NJ, what are your thoughts on having a mastermind group? And that kind of came in when you were talking about, you know, potentially working with others and kind of building wealth.
I think it's very important. But I also feel like, just because you have, like, even if you have a group, that doesn't mean everybody in that group must invest or everybody has to go every single time. What the importance of a group is shared knowledge, is shared insight. If somebody might, and that's when you're talking about having a group, you have to be strategic. Sometimes we do a group and then all we do is put all our brethren in there. That's WhatsApp. That's not what we're trying to do here. Let's separate. If you know that, okay, I wanna get a group of people and we want to buy property. Number one, yes, you need people that have people that have the right income. So don't get your guy that has no dough to come in the group. What are they gonna do? Just put emojis in there and waste everybody's time. So know who you're bringing into the group. Have a set criteria. Also, you know that you're going to need people that maybe have experience in project management, people that have solicitor background, people that have accountancy or finance background. These are the types of things. Be strategic when you're building your mastermind. Don't just say, "Oh, as long as there's numbers." It's not about the numbers. I remember Jay-Z did had a quote, and he was like, "Less is more. There's plenty of us." Like, sometimes we think, "Oh, there's only 8 of us." Actually, this is better, because again, now if we know what we're missing, we can always hire that in. This is one thing I tell people, my business owners, when I'm talking to them. It's like, "Oh, my business is not. I don't want to start this business, or I can't take it further because I don't have this skill or that skill." Listen, Bill Gates says, "Listen, all I do is hire people that are smarter than me." You don't need to have the knowledge. You just need to be able to have the resources to pay the person that has the knowledge. Do you understand? And this is where we're going wrong. It's like, you can't be everything and know everything, but you can get a virtual PA to come in. You can get someone to come in on a short-term basis. Like, you don't even staff. You don't need to have full-time staff at the very beginning. Why are you putting someone? Even you don't need to be full-time, taking full salary out of your business that just started. Let the business grow. Let it start making some money. Keep working at your job part-time or full-time and do your business in the evening. Some of us are putting too much pressure on our business, and that's why it can't grow. That's why it can't blossom. So for me, it's about us. It's not, we've got the ideas. We know what we want to do. It's about the execution, and also about the mindset. Find people who are intentional. If you say, "Okay, I'm not good in my finances," but we've got Instagram, YouTube, we've got podcasts, we've got books, audiobooks. If you say you reading this, there's so many resources out here that I have to start questioning you. I have to look at you, because you have access to all the things I just said, but you're listening to Harry Potter. Do you understand? You're there doing halakazam. These times you're broke. This is not the time for this. This is not the time for Potter. Leave him alone. You need to learn how to make some money. Go on, get one of these Dragon Den guys. Read his book or her book. Do you know what I mean? Let's be intentional to change our situation.
So you finished me with that one, Halakazam. Okay, yeah, we don't have time for magic, but yeah, I feel like this is definitely a time where we have access to so much, and we have to make better decisions about how we utilize that time and what we're doing with it, and just being able to, I think one of the things is like having good communication. I think it's important to have conversation, because a lot of the time you'll find that you, like, even just not necessarily to do with money, but I might have a conversation with someone and I might mention something that I'm dealing with, and then they mention, oh yeah, I've had that problem, or I've done this, or XYZ, but we didn't communicate about it at the time. So if we don't have these conversations, we're not really allowing ourselves to share that knowledge, and also to avoid, some of the struggles that some of us had. Because if I've been through something and I had a bad experience, I can share that with you. So hopefully that you don't go through it yourself. So I think definitely there's some useful kind of takeaways, I guess, from this, in the sense of being able to communicate, having that right mindset, figuring out what it is that you can do. So what would you say, like, for someone, right? So someone's watched this now and they've said, right, I feel inspired. I feel ready to, to do something, but I'm not quite sure where to start. Like, what's the one thing someone can do now to start getting themselves in order, like to start building that wealth?
Yeah, I wish there was one thing. I think that it's more than one thing. I think the big thing I want people to always remember is that you can't always be motivated. Like, so you see, you come on here and you get inspiration and you feel buzzing, and then it goes after a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then you stop. Like, you can't always be motivated, so you have to be disciplined. All right. So, but before you can be disciplined, you have to set yourself a standard, a set of rules to be disciplined too. If there's no rule, so then to do that, you have to have a plan. So it's like it works back. So the first thing is okay, what's the goal? What do I want to achieve? And it might be something as small as I just want to make £100 more a week. It might be something just as small as that. And you work out, okay, £100 more a week. Let's say that's £20 a day. So then you start telling yourself, what is it that I can do that can add value to someone that they will pay me £20 in a day? And so now you've got that goal. Once you've got the idea, now it's about, how do I bring this to fruition? How do I make this happen? And it's about getting started. Once you've got the goal, it's about getting started and then sticking to it and having the discipline to say, this is the goal. One of the big problems is that we're always looking for opportunities and we end up never completing anything because we're not focused on what we want to achieve. It's so important that you know what you want to achieve, so that when someone says, oh, let's go and do this, you don't have the fear of missing out, because you know that's not your goal. That's not the direction you're heading. So I can't feel like I'm missing out, for example, going on holiday to Spain, if I know that my goal and my money and my intention is that I'm saving to buy a car, for example. If that's my goal and that's where I'm going, then if someone comes to me and says, oh, look, we've got this great deal and we can, okay, unfortunately, my money is going in this direction. I'm not missing out, because that's not the goal. And we have to start that's not the goal. But if you don't have a goal and you don't have a plan, every time someone says, oh, look, this is this great opportunity, you go and start. Then someone says, oh, I've got this other, you just start loads of things and complete nothing.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's the kind of shiny object syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just look for the next best thing, because every time you find something new to do, you get that motivation that you were talking about, and that you feel like that as long as you have that motivation, it will keep you going. But enthusiasm has a half-life. So every day that you're not actually progressing towards your goal or things that you want to do, it's going to die, and it's eventually going to fade out. So just want to bring up one of these comments. AAGP said it's a good example of how they can progress in business life, which will benefit future generations. And we need to generate the jobs and positions to give our children, and not wait for others to give our children a chance. So it goes back to what you were saying before. It starts with us. So what we can do, what we are willing to do, what we're committing to do in order to make a way, right? Because we may not be the ones who benefit in its entirety from this, but we have to decide that it stops with us. So by taking on those choices and doing the work now, we know that we collectively will benefit from it, and the ones that come after us are less likely to have to struggle and deal with the same, trauma and issues that we have too.
Yeah, and that goes back to, like, I remember I had an issue. I raised an issue at my church because we had this thing where, everyone's coming in. I'm an usher. I'm a deacon. I'm an elder. I'm this. Everyone's got position. Everyone's doing this, and we're all coming here like 500 people in a room. And I was like, okay, this is all great, but our young people need work experience, and no one can give them work experience. And it's like, for me, we can push and position and tell ourselves, I've got this position, and look down and, oh, you're only this and you're only that. But at the end of the day, what are we really doing in real life? Some of us have positions, some of us are in places. Are we connected in our workplaces, so that when a young person comes and says, oh, I really like what you're doing, have you even told the young people what we do? I said, listen, we had to create a job. We had to create a board and say, look, this is what everybody does. Let them know, so that these young people can say, okay, I want to be oh, excellent, auntie this does that. Oh, uncle this does that. Now I can go and speak to them. And then when we go there, are we tapped in at work? We've been in these companies for 10 years, 15 years, and you can't get somebody work experience. They won't let someone come for a week, but they let other people do it. And so these are the things where, for me, it's like we are worrying about the wrong things. Forget your title, your position. Oh, I must sit in this seat. Or I must do. What are we doing to break the generational curses? What are we doing to change, to make sure that the things that we had to struggle to? We know that for some of our parents came here and it was no dogs, no Irish, no blacks. You know what I mean? We saw that these were. What are we doing to make sure that our children don't have to go through that? Or are we saying, well, I had to do it, so now it's your turn?
No, and that's the interesting thing. Like you said before, it's actually, on one hand, you're trying to live through your children to have the life that you wanted for yourself but couldn't. And then also you're like, well, actually, you don't know what it's like. I've given you everything. So now actually you need to suffer too. So it's just a vicious cycle. You can't really win. So we just need to, I think it's just about creating spaces, like you say, is a really good point. Is, I think to myself, do my nieces and nephews even know what I do? Do extended family know what I do? We have this thing about, a lot of the time, not telling people what we do, either for fear of being judged or what. But we need to know, because when it does come to that time when, like my godson is going to be 16 soon, if he wants to come and get work experience somewhere, I know what everyone is doing. And so I'll say, oh, you want to do this? All right, cool. Let me ask auntie this or uncle this, or let me, do that and bring you in. But I actually don't know. I know pretty much what all my friends and stuff do, but do the generation that come after us, do they know what we do? I'm not sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So time has really flown by. I have enjoyed this conversation immensely. I've learned so much, and definitely still feeling the Holy Spirit up in this room today. So before we kind of like wrap up, what's like your biggest takeaways? What is it that you want, people who are watching this to kind of leave with?
I think the biggest thing is that for a lot of us, we're doing well. But I think, let's not compare ourselves to the generation previous, because a lot of the time we stand on their shoulders. So I see people like, oh yeah, I earn more than my dad. Okay, you're supposed to. Like, do you know, like that shouldn't be the standard. Do you know what I mean? We shouldn't say, oh, I'm doing more, I'm making more money than my parents did, so I'm doing all right. No. That's not what we come for. That's not why we all the struggles that we've been through. So number one, like, yes, we are doing well, but there's more that we can do. And two is that, we are better together. So let's start thinking about, within our small micro communities, how do we come together? How do we come together to build together? Yes, it's great to do stuff on your own, but what can we do together? You can still live your dream and do stuff on your own and still do stuff with other people. It's not one or the other. Like, you can still have your own dreams and goals and still have dreams and goals with other people. So for me, it's really important that we look at what can we do together. Then three is I always challenge us, what is going to be your legacy? I think, are we asking ourselves, what is going to be, when we are gone, what will people say? That, oh, always dressed nice? Is that your legacy? Oh, had nice cars. Oh, was always flying to Dubai. Is that what our legacy? Is that the legacy that we want to leave? Like, what are we actually What are we standing for? What are we, when we're gone, what will people know, remember of us? What will people say was what we left behind? Do you know what I mean? And so I question, it's different for everyone. So I'm not saying there's a right or wrong. I'm just saying, let's start thinking about what is our legacy? What are we leaving? And then finally, if anyone that has children, for me, it's, what are we doing for our children? What are we doing to give them that leg up? When I look at, other communities, a lot of the time they're already saving, investing. Imagine some of our counterparts, their parents did pay for their education, pay for their first car, pay for their wedding, gave them a deposit for a house. You do those 4 things, that changes somebody's whole life. And so we need to look at, okay, our parents tried for us, so what are we doing for our children? What are we going to do for them? And what characteristics are we building for them as well? These are the things I would say I hope to leave and hope people can take and build on. And I'm not saying there's any rights or wrong, and I hope I don't offend anyone. I just have this, for me, I just feel like I don't want to sugarcoat anything, because we have so much to do, and we're doing well, but we have so much to do. And for me, I just want us to know that it's possible, because I see it every day. I know it's possible. We just need to be intentional to make our dreams come true.
Definitely agree with that. And so, yeah, amazing. So just before everyone goes, how can people find you? What are you up to? Is there anything you want to kind of let us know that you're up to at the moment?
I mean, you can find me, the E-Man Effect is the hashtags on Instagram, YouTube, all of those types of social media platforms. Emmanuel Asuquo on LinkedIn if you want to connect on LinkedIn. And yeah, just I'm here. Like, I'm happy for people to reach out. I'm here to help as much as I can. And I wish everyone the best.
Thank you so much. So, and thank you for everyone who has been in the chat, and for those of you who are watching, AAGP just said no man is an island. Yes, very much agreed. And again, so if you have, feel like anything that we've discussed today is something that you want to kind of learn more about, as Emmanuel said, there's so many free resources available. Even just go and check out Emmanuel's Instagram page. There's lots of videos, there's lots of content, there's YouTube videos, there's so much available. But I think the most important thing is to start, right? Don't overthink it. You need to start. Figure out what is it you want. Start moving in that direction. Use that as your compass, and that will keep you on track for trying to get there, rather than allowing yourself to be swayed by every new thing that comes in that looks easier but doesn't actually benefit you or the generation to come. And if you've missed any of these Q&As or any of the webinars that we've done over the last 5 weeks, remember that you can also grab the replays from amarkaigroup.com/the SHiFT-replays, and you'll get all of that plus some VIP content and all of this other stuff that will help you start working through some of that. A lot of it is focused on mindset, what you think you believe. So when you start to change what you think is possible, you start to believe what can be possible, and those things actually come to fruition. You start to take different actions, see opportunities that weren't there before, and make some changes. So this really is about making a shift, and now is the time to do that. The fact that you've joined here today, the fact that you are interested in these kind of topics, start now, right? Just because tomorrow is not promised. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So if we start now, we get an opportunity to make some changes. So again, thank you to all of you who attended today, and we'll be in touch again soon. I'll announce any other lives or Q&As, etc. that I'll be doing. But until then, have a great evening, everybody, and we will see you again very, very soon.